The child who wandered astray, city at night. Or dream. I'm dreaming. This dream begins when Kana and I first met, when I was still young and lacking in identity. This is the continuation of her story. What happened to her following her telling me that she was going to go fetch her mother and bring her back. I, Minami Kana, opened my eyes to an unfamiliar scenery. The moon was there. It shone in the night sky. But there was something noticeably different about it. There's a big moon and a small moon floating closely together in the sky as though they were locked to one another. I looked around me. It seemed to be some sort of dense forest, and I was stuck in the heart of it. I instantly grew scared. The trees rustled. The wind blew and pushed against the branches of the large trees, the noises they made seeming almost like whispers. They were secretly sneering at me, the poor little child, all alone. Oh my god, I was waiting for young Kana. I cried out. A flock of birds flew up from the ground. Where was I? What was this place? I thought back. I tried to follow my trail of memories. Then I ran back to the festival to find Mommy. Slowly but surely, a mist was gradually clearing in my mind. As it did, my forgotten memories reappeared. Hoping to save time, I had taken a shortcut to get back to the festival. I had willingly decided to brave through that pitch-black mountain trail, knowing it was the quickest way to get to my mother. It was a far quicker option than following the path along the breakwater. The shortcut was known to me because my mother had once taken me down it, holding my hand all the while. Even so, I wanted the sorcerer boy to heal my mother as soon as possible, and I'd forgotten what my uncle had warned me of earlier in the day. Listen, kid, whatever you do, avoid that mountain trail in the neighboring town, Kazutsu-Gahama, especially at night. It's dangerous. Why, you ask? Well, that's because before I'd realized it, I was enveloped in light. It had occurred just as I was approaching the highest point of elevation along the trail. They were luminescent butterflies. It was a magical spectacle, a large cluster of butterflies, each emanating a pale silver fluorescent light that seemed almost like it had been harvested straight from the moon. The wind then howled, and the luminescent butterflies soared upward and on the rustling wind. Countless silver lights came flying toward me all at once. Subsequently, I felt a sharp pain in my head, like I'd been stuck here. I'd just been stuck here. Struck there. My vision, my thoughts, everything was red. Then, when I next opened my eyes, I was here. I remember when my uncle had told me after I'd asked why this trail was so dangerous. Years back, there was a group of young boys that went there and got spirited away. They had gone on a dare, but then disappeared without a trace. The incident even made the papers. Happened about when I was your age, kid. To this day, those boys had never been found. Still never been found. I didn't fully grasp what my uncle had been trying to warn me of, but even so, I could vaguely tell what had happened to me. Somehow, I managed to fumble my way out of the forest. It was nothing short of a miracle. I had been stranded in an unknown area on an unknown mountain trail. You'd normally expect someone in this situation to wander around aimlessly for days within this labyrinth of trees, or ultimately dying of starvation. However, I hadn't. The words were stuck to my throat. This town was not inhabited by humans. There were terrifying creatures. There were bizarre creatures, cute-looking creatures, odd-looking creatures. The town was teeming with them. I was so astonished that I burst into tears. I was a crybaby. I was a scaredy cat. I hated this all. Then, however, at that very moment, great tumult was occurring in front of me. All the creatures coming and going stopped, suddenly having noticed the little human girl crying. They all swarmed toward me at once, a deep, dark, insatiable hunger in their eyes. A human. It's a human. Capture it. Let's sacrifice it. The swarm of scary creatures chased me ferociously with outstretched hands. They're gonna kill me, I thought. If I don't run, they're gonna eat me alive. That day began my game of hide and seek with these inhuman creatures. It was a long transition. I abruptly wake up in the middle of the dream. The magic continues to work on the two of us as we hold each other's hand.
不思議ですね、これは。どういう風に感想を口にすればいいかわかりませんけど。
She speaks slowly and carefully as she grips my hand slightly tighter.
ずっとユーマさんと一緒に同じ夢を見ているような感じがしていました。それだけでなんだか心強いというか、小さいですけど確かな勇気をもらっているような、そんな気がします。
She asks me whether or not that's because of the magic, but all I can merely reply with is a vague, I'm not sure. Let's discuss that dream we had. Is that when you first became lost, as you put it?
はい。
So you were spirited away after that. I didn't know that there was some weird magical wormhole like a spot hiding in this town. But anyhow, the point being, when you were a child, you were transported unknowingly to a parallel world. She nods. There's something I find odd about your story. Something that kind of inspires a little bit of doubt. You mentioned to me previously that you weren't sure how to explain this whole business of you becoming lost to me. But I'm more than familiar with parallel worlds, so I'm not sure. So it should have been perfectly possible for you to explain the fundamental situation and just fill me in on minor details that I don't know about.
はい。いいえ、違います。それについては違うんです。私は迷子になってしまったことをうまく言葉にして伝えられない。正しくは迷子になってから先のお話をです。それは本当です。事情があります。私に語彙が少なく上手に説明できないとか、そういったことだけではないんです。問題そのものを言葉にできないわけがあるんです。
The reason why you can't put it into words?
はい。そのわけがあるために私は不自由になってしまいました。そんなあんまり嬉しくない事情の何もかもから私はユーマさんに自由にしてほしいと思ったんです。だからこうしてユーマさんに私自身の言葉を使うことなく私の事情を知ってもらえるこの魔法は小さな勇気をもらえる嬉しさだけではなくて今の私にとっては何よりもベストで最適な奇跡なんだとそう信じています。
Right. I see. Shall we keep going?
はい、お願いします。
If you open your eyes during the dream, you can temporarily pause the magic's effect. So if there's anything you want to discuss, then please do. Though be warned, if you let go of my hand, the magic stops, got it?
わかりました。
I can hardly believe it. It was really possible for me to grasp Kana's mind in the blink of an eye. No. It wasn't just possible. It was a certainty with this magic. That's why there's simply no need for us to waste time confirming that we're on the same page. The best part of me feels as though dancing around these things wouldn't be quite right. I want to make certain that I fully comprehend every facet of this section of Hana's mind that I'm about to witness. Continuation of a dream. 10 dream nights. Okay, I was not expecting the next chapter A few years had passed since I was spirited away. Oh. Oh. Hang on a minute. If it's been a few years, whoa. That, then this isn't the merchant, right? It's gotta be somewhere else. Because if it's been a few years, right, then, well, no. Yeah. Because, okay, here's why I'm confused. Because if it was the merchant town, right? It's been a few years here, right? Well, you know what? Let's just keep going, right? If a few years pass, right? It's been like 2 or 3 years. Yeah. I heave a sigh after placing the book I had been reading on the desk. This was the 10th book that I had finished this day. I was pretty satisfied with my pace.
次は何を読もうかな。
The time was slightly before noon. It would be nice if I could read another 10 books before the day closed out. 20 books per day. Perfect preferred amount.
昨日は夜までで15冊だったから、今日は本当にいいペース。
I could sense my reading speed increasing with each passing day. It mattered not whether I enjoyed them or not, so long as I understood them. That made speed reading less of a chore. It would be no exaggeration to say that this technique saved my life. It had already been a few years since I'd wandered astray into this land. In that time, I'd found a small hut located in the forest and made it my home. Thanks to the various knowledge and tools that my predecessors had left me, even someone like myself, who wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, could live safely out here on my own.
よし、それじゃ次に読むのは君に決めたよ。
Okay, so this is what I mean, right? Been a few years. That means that that somewhere along the line, right? Pretty soon, I should say. She should be going back, right? Because, like, if she stays longer than she has now, well, okay, she's already older. Then if this is like similar to the merchant town where it's a 1-to-3 ratio, right? 302 years have passed, right? Means that at most like a year has passed in Earth time. So she's already older than well, you get it. A mystery novel. Mysterious novel. It was the type of story in which characters were killed off methodically, one after another, until the main character gets to the bottom of things. A tale of logical deduction, written as though each person's death was simply a mathematical equation to be solved. Addition, subtraction, at times even division. Look, the only thing that's getting divided is a corpse. Was it a good read or not? Would I enjoy it or not? It didn't matter in the slightest how the book would affect me emotionally. value of me, the value to me in a book was the amount of information contained therein. If I could stuff my mind full of knowledge or not. I reach out toward the mountainous pile of books on the desk. I lowered my hand unsteadily upon hearing the grumbling noise that emanated from my empty stomach.
お腹すいたな。
Even if I was keeping my brain well fed, I needed to provide my body with nourishment as well. I hated being hungry. It made me want to cry.
お腹いっぱい。美味しい料理が食べたいよ。
I'd finally grown accustomed to my life here. The children, who I assumed to have lived here before me, had left behind plenty of knowledge pertaining to how to survive in this land. I owed it all to those children who had been spirited away like I was. It was all due to them that I was alive to feel this hunger. My body is able to experience everything associated with living, both good and bad.
たくさん怖いことがあるけれど、一人で寝るのが怖くて、思わず泣いちゃいそうになる夜もあるけれど。
All I had to do was remember that promise I made, that promise, and I found the strength to continue living. I'll protect you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sorcerer.
頑張る。魔法使いの加上優馬さん。私、頑張るよ。
Just saying his name aloud brought me peace of mind. Feeling lonely no more, I placed my head down on the desk and closed my eyes. Even though you're still hungry.
場所をどうにか脱出して、そうしてあの灯台に行きさえすれば、私は助かる。
Sorcerer would save me.
約束だから。
That's right. He promised. I would get away from these terrifying creatures who were after my life. And then I would make it to the lighthouse. So long as I could get there, I would be fine.
魔法使いさんが私を助けてくれるんだ。とても不思議なあの男の子が。
I thought back to that night before we parted. That boy introduced himself to me as Kanoe Yuma. My name is Yuma. Kanoe Yuma. I couldn't remember the context behind when he had said that. It was like my mind was taunting me by keeping that bit of information locked away. However, those words were like a ray of hope to me. All I had to do was merely say them aloud, or think of them.
私はまだまだ平気でいられる。私は一人じゃないから。味方がいるから。
Those were the feelings he inspired within me. All of my fears and sorrows were allayed.
ユーマさん。魔法使いさん。
I was able to sleep peacefully, despite the fact that I could be attacked at any given moment.
さあ、続きを読まなくちゃ。
But what about food? I'd just woken up from my nap, which I'd taken to forget about my hunger. Oh, okay, yeah, you can just forget you're hungry and you'll be fine. I instantly reached for the pile and picked up a book. Today's reading. Among the thousands of books that had been collected in this hut, at that point in time, I had made my way through more than half of them. I wasn't particularly fond of reading per se. There was a reason that I had to keep reading. That reason being the wind howled, the trees whispered. I looked up at the night sky. Moons had changed color. They were now a pale purple.
時間だ。
It was coming.
蝶たちの宴の時間。
One, then another. They appeared slowly and gradually, like drops of ink in water. The butterflies had arrived. The luminescent butterflies. A swarm of tiny bodies swayed from side to side on the whispering wind, almost as though they were performing some sort of dance. On silently opening the book in my hand, the words imprinted on these pages, illuminated by the moonlight, leapt out into the sky all at once like a thread unraveling. Letters rustled softly, like pieces of paper being rubbed together. They seeped into the sky like a row of black ants.
お願い。どうか、お願い。本ならここにたくさんあるから。だからもう、誰にも意地悪しないでほしいよ。
The luminescent butterflies devoured the letters, which had been strung out via the moonlight.
こうして見てるだけなら、とても綺麗で、何も害はないのに。
My body began to quiver. I winced at the sudden sensation that these creepy crawlies squirming around inside my head. Wait. I don't know if I said it right. I winced at the sudden sensation of these creepy crawlies swimming around in my head. Yeah, okay. I know what I was thinking. Good enough. Moons became obscured by thick grey clouds, and the small green dots of light quickly flickered out. It was over. They had finished their feasting for tonight. As usual, they consumed many of the books that I had yet to read, but that was okay. It didn't seem like they'd touched any of the important things within my mind.
とにかく、今は本を読まなくちゃ。
Reading was the single method. I had to retain who I was. I thought back to what had happened when I first arrived in this land. Oh man. It's a human. Capture it. Sacrifice it. I shook off the beast-like hands from the creatures of the town. Then, after having barely escaped by the skin of my teeth, I spent the entire night wandering the forest. Dawn had come. Dawn was approaching, and my hope was fading. But then, all of a sudden, I came across a small hut.
なんだろう、ここ。
I rested atop a small hill, and situated along with it was a garden containing an old bower.
誰もいないんですか？
There were signs of someone had been living here rather recently, but right now it was deserted. Although I felt bad for using someone else's living quarters, I decided to spend the night here. The next day, first thing upon waking up,
何これ？
I noticed a letter placed atop the desk, underneath the bower in the garden. If you have found yourself astray in this world, then we address this letter to you. That was the first sentence written upon the piece of paper.
迷い込む。
That must have meant lost, I thought.
うん。
I mean, yeah, it's pretty similar.
私は多分迷子だよ。何が何だかわからないけど、こんな怖い場所に来てしまったの。
And so I decided that it was okay for me to read that letter.
ようこそ僕らの家へ歓迎するよ。と、まずはそう言わせてもらいたい。
That was how the letter began. It continued on, and any difficult characters used were accompanied by the respective readings. Being as young as I was, there was a myriad of words I wasn't familiar with, but regardless, I decided that I would try reading the letter aloud.
だけど、この手紙を僕らの知らない君が読んでいる時にはもう、そこには誰一人として生き残ってはいないんだろうと思う。だから突然、こんな怖い世界へ迷い込んでしまい、困惑しているだろう君に、この場所での生活事情や、その他多くのことを説明してあげられることはできないだろうと思う。なので、この手紙を残します。この場所がどういったものなのか、地図にも載っていないここは一体何なのか。僕だから、君が抱える疑問や不安、そういったものすべてを解消しきれるかどうかは、ごめんね、わからないけど。
You mind going back past Kana?
この場所がどういったものなのか、地図にも載っていないここは一体何なのか。僕らにもわからないことは多い。だから、君が抱える疑問や不安、そういったものすべてを解消しきれるかどうかは、ごめんね、わからないけど。それでも、この世界で君が生き残るための方法と、僕らの願いをここに残しておこうと思います。
The letter continued. Trying hard not to brood too deeply over anything just yet, I read on.
まず、何をおいても君が知っておかなければならない重要なことから記しておこうと思います。君は多分、ここへやってくる前に光の蝶を見たと思う。それが一匹だったのか、群れをなしていたのかどうかはわからないけれど、 とにかくそのはずだ。簡単に言うと、君はあの光の蝶に餌としてこの場所に連れてこられた。
Fodder? What did that word even mean? A picture popped into my head of the food that was used to give the that we used to give the big dog that our family kept.
あの蝶が一体何なのか、それを説明することは難しい。それは僕らにもわからないことの一つだ。単純明快に言えば、その正体は妖怪だとかそういったものになるのかもしれない。そして分かっていることは、あの蝶が僕ら人間の知識や思い出を食べ成長するってことなんだ。
The rest of the letter continued in a similar fashion. The silvery green luminescent butterflies that I had encountered on that mountain trail in Kazatsukahama, they had been what had brought me here. As for why, apparently those butterflies laid their eggs inside human skulls, which when hatched would feed gradually on the knowledge contained within the brain that as they matured. Jesus Christ. They were quite reminiscent of the species of parasitic wasps, which laid eggs inside other insects' bodies so that their offspring could feed on them when they hatched.
そうして孵化した幼虫はさなぎになって僕らの頭から十分に栄養を吸い取り、大きく成長したなら、僕らの頭を食い破り外へ出るんだ。そうして生まれるのを待っているお父さんとお母さんの場所に飛んでいく。頭の中の蝶が大きく成長するまでには個人差もあるけど、だいたい10年くらいで成虫になってしまうんだ。
That was where I put the letter down.
10年。
I muttered to myself, that was how long I had left. Needless to say, the reality of it didn't quite set in at first. I simply didn't want to believe it. But do you still remember your own name? I knew it. I knew she... As soon as she talked about the memory eating butterflies, I knew the only reason she calls herself Kana, the only reason that she tells everyone her name is Kana is because she doesn't know her real name. I was shook at the question the letter posed to me.
まずあの蝶が好んで食べるのは宿主の名前なんだ。名前は特別なものだから、その人を一言で表し象徴する魔法の言葉だ。君は今自分の名前を思い出せる？私の名前は
I felt the blood drain from my face.
嘘。ダメだ。 私は私の名前を食べられちゃったの？
The hole in my memory and the emptiness in my head. Upon realizing that, I immediately believed the 10-year death sentence I had been given by the writer of the letter. And then, butterflies living inside me began to eat the knowledge and memories in my brain.
ダメ。嘘。ちょっと待って。
It had hit me. My name wasn't the only thing that had been eaten. Those precious short-lived days I had spent with my beloved mother, those too had been devoured by the parasitic butterflies.
嘘。嘘だよ、やめて。それだけは食べないで。持っていかないで。
They were wicked creatures living inside my head, stealing my memories of my mother from me. The idea of them was far, far more terrifying than the prospect of death to me. Of that.
どうしたらいいの？なくした思い出はどうやったら元に戻るの？
I continued reading frantically.
君はこれから本を読んでいかなくちゃいけない。残念ながら食べられちゃった知識も思い出も取り戻すことはできないけれど、その方法を僕は知らないけれど、とにかく君は本を読むんだ。たくさんたくさん。忘れたくないものを忘れず持ち続けていくために、そして何より生きていくために。ジョーは一度食べた知識には二度と口をつけない。だから常に新しい本を読んでいかなくてはいけないけれど、ここには幸い僕らの先輩が残していってくれた本が山のようにある。それをここでの生活や頭の中の意地悪になれるまでは呼吸するみたいに読み続けるんだ。
I must read. If I want to live, I must read a large number of books.
どうしよう。私、あんまり難しい本は読んだことないのに。
All the odds were stacked against me. If I wanted to continue living, and upon realizing that, I sank into a deep pit of depression. I continued to scan through the letters, hoping to find some way to be saved.
そして、これだけは覚えておいてほしい。破ってはいけない規則が2つだけあるんだ。
Two rules.
一つ、僕ら以外の誰かに蝶のことを話してはいけないということ。蝶はそれそのものを意味するあらゆる言葉に乗って人から人へと伝染する。感染者から健常者へと。それは蝶の繁殖の方法の一つなんだ。もちろん筆談だってダメだ。だからもしもここから元の世界へ戻れたとしても誰にも事情を話せないんだ。頭の中の虫をどうにかして完璧に駆除するまでは。
Well, isn't that a shame? Looks like humans been infected by the memory bug too. What? What? It won't make a difference. He's already an amnesiac.
そしてもう一つ。人前では決して涙を流してはいけない。頭の中に住む蝶は悲しい涙に乗って外へ出ていく。そうしてそんな君の涙を見たり触れたりした人の頭の中へと新しい卵を産みつける。
Okay, that one makes less sense. What?
とずっとずっと信じられてる。僕らも先輩たちにそう注意を受け続けてきたんだ。誰かに喋ってはいけない。涙を見せてはいけない。それら二つの決まりが本当なのかはわからない。ただ恐怖心から生まれた迷信かもしれない。その規則の信憑性については何とも言えない。僕らにはそれを確かめる術がなかったから。でも用心に越したことはないから。嘘か本当かわからないことでも、こんな不自由を頭の中に抱え込むようなことは僕たち以上に増やしてはいけないんだ。絶対に。それが僕らの願いの一つでもあるんだ。どうか僕らのそんな願いを込めたこの規則を君にも守ってもらいたい。そうすれば君がこの小屋で暮らしていくことを僕らは歓迎するよ。
You know, these butterflies are just the concept of the game. If you don't know the game, well, now you do, which means you've lost the game. But essentially, what the game is like this old internet thing where essentially the way you win the game is by not knowing about the game. But as soon as you know the game, you've lost it. I know it's this weird thing, right? So the only way to win against the butterflies is to not know about the butterflies. But if you know about the butterflies, now you've been infected by them. But then there's also that bullshit second rule where you can't cry in front of someone for some odd reason. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. What do tears have to do with memories? What? Sadness? That's a fucking emotion. Like, do tears of joy count? Like, oh? I put the letter down. The letter, which it was meant for me, continued after that. The writer's wishes were laid out in full detail for me to read. But I just couldn't bring myself to continue reading.
ここでこの場所で生活する。生きていく。
And survive. That's what she said. That's all she said. Did that mean
私は
I was never going to go home? Tears began to well in my eyes.
嫌だ。そんなの嫌だよ。母さん、帰りたい。うちに帰りたいよ。お母さん。
I cried alone in the darkness, unable now to even recall the face of the person I loved so dearly. A few days later, I mustered the courage to read the remainder of the letter. It contained various bits of information regarding how to survive in this world. How to scavenge for food. How to plow the ground for crop cultivation. Where to find water. How to set traps. And much, much more. Young as I was, I doubted that I could do any of this on my own. But I also knew that I had to in order to survive. Nobody would come to my rescue. I was alone. So I had to live here by my own power.
私、罰が当たっちゃったのかな。お母さんにひどいこと言ったから。
There was a certain stern warning issued to me by the letter.
近くにある人でない者たちが住む町には近づかない方がいいよ。彼らは頭の中に意地悪を見つけられた僕らを捕まえようといつでも探しているから。成虫になった蝶は手当たり次第に襲って回っているんだ。生き物の知識や思い出を食べるために。そんな蝶を鎮めるためには僕らを捕まえて差し出せば彼らは自分たちは救われると信じているんだ。そんなのはきっと迷信なのに。それなのに彼らは自分たちが助かりたいために僕らを。
I closed my eyes upon reading the rest of those horrendous words.
そういうわけで彼らの知らない場所にあるこの小屋に君は隠れて生活していかないといけない。
It was a strong warning.
たくさんの人が助かるために誰か一人が悲しい思いをしなくちゃいけない。
It almost reminded me of
なんだか人柱みたいだよ。
I could recall an old scary movie that I had seen with my mum that included a scene with something like that. Anyhow, I would proceed to live there all by myself from there on out. I had to pay attention to various different things, and I had to exercise caution when doing numerous different things.
私ちゃんとやっていけるのかな。そっか。そういえば私名前を食べられちゃってたんだった。
I had to begin with that before anything else. I had to fill that void in my mind so that I could once again hold an identity.
この子の名前私はもらうよ。
There were a few manga mixed within the innumerable books left there. In one of them, there was a particularly cheerful, upbeat girl. She was everything I wanted to be.
これで私もあなたみたいに毎日元気に楽しくなれるかな。
Maybe then, I could find the strength I need to live in this lonely, frightening world.
苦いよ。硬いよ。
the preserved foods inside the hut were quite disgusting. Okay. Oof.
ダメだよ。
On one particular day, I had caught a kitten in one of my traps.
こんなのかわいそうだよ。
I had found it as I was walking around and checking the many traps I'd laid out for small animals, as the letter had instructed me to do.
私できない。
The writer of the letter had said, think about everything you must do in order to stay alive.
生きていくためにできること、それってやっぱり
God damn it.
生きていくためにできること、それってやっぱり
Bro, I did it again.
生きていくためにできること、それってやっぱりこの子のこと。
There you go. Tears quickly filled my eyes. Human sacrifice.
自分が生きるために誰かに悲しい思いをさせなくちゃいけないなんて。
There was no way I could bring myself to do such a thing. At this point, I began to think that maybe I simply wasn't cut out for living this way.
ごめんね、子猫さん。
I proceeded to carry the kitten home with me, where I then bandaged up its injured leg. That kitten then lived alongside me for a period of time. Needless to say, it couldn't speak to me. But even so, just having it with me cured my loneliness. I didn't have to feel like I was alone anymore. It brightened my days. It comforted me on those lonely nights when I felt its fur against me as I held it. However, to be honest, I don't much remember my time with it. Even beyond that, at this point, a lot of my memories were starting to become hazy and fragmented. Eventually, one day the kitten disappeared. Even when I had wandered off into the mountains before, it would always come back home. When it had wandered off into the mountains before, it would always come back home right when it was time to have dinner. This time, however, the entire night passed without it anywhere to be seen. I spent the entire night searching around and calling for it, but to no avail. Eventually, I decided to give up and head back to the hut. I was sure that the kitten's hind leg had more or less healed fully by now. I didn't need to worry. You'll be just fine without me, I thought.
さよなら。
Goodbye, little kitty. I hope you reach home safely.
もう絶対に捕まっちゃダメだよ。きっとお母さんが待ってるよ。
That kitten was able to freely run back home to its mother after its back leg had healed. But I would never. I started to cry again. It angered me. Why was I such a crybaby?
私は元の場所に帰れるのかな。
I decided to let my tears out just that once. Only now that I was left all alone again could I permit myself to. I could never cry in front of anyone ever again, and that was a terribly, terribly sad thought. I returned my mind back to the present time.
本を読まないと。
The butterflies in my head were getting more voracious by the day. If I kept reading at my current speed, I was more than certain that my whole mind would be consumed before long. The memories of my mum and the sorcerer's promise to save me.
この2つだけは絶対に忘れちゃダメだよ。
I gave the butterflies inside my head their daily fodder. Ever since I was young, my vision had been poor. I picked up my glasses. They were an old pair by now. They were one of the few personal possessions from my home world that I still had with me, along with my purse. Thankfully, I'd carried them with me during the summer festival. I still took very good care of them.
このメガネ、おじさんに買ってもらったんだったっけ？それとも、
Nothing came to me.
覚えてない。
My memories were muddled. There was no doubt about it that this was because the parasites in my head had eaten them up.
もっといろいろと食べられちゃってそうだよ。私が気づかないうちにたくさんお腹すいたな。
I lowered my head onto the desk before me as I clutched my empty stomach.
ユーマ、カノウエ、ユーマさん。
The sorcerer will grant my wish. Please save me. After finishing my reading for the day, I ventured into the mountains to find food. I was dreading this, and it did not disappoint.
よかった。今日も大量。
My arms were full of things. Berries, the fish I'd found on the riverbank, and the leftover vegetables I had harvested from the garden. I considered myself a good cook, but securing the food was another matter entirely. I did not see myself as good at that.
私はちゃんとここで生きていけるのかなってそう思ってたけど、
But I was fine.
私ってとても運がいいよね。ちゃんと一人でもご飯を集められてるよ。
I had a bountiful haul today. On the riverbank, I found a fish that had washed ashore. As I'd been walking along the mountain trail, a berry from a bunch fell on my head from the tree above, alerting me of its presence.
これで3日くらいは持つかな。
I'd be able to eat good for the first time in a long while. I returned to the hut in a jovial mood, only to then find everything had been destroyed. Bro, I knew something was gonna happen. It always. I fucking hate that. It is the worst part of this game. You can never have a moment of joy in this fucking game without something ruining it entirely. Like every time there is a character that expresses hope or anything similar to it, you always know that there's just going to be something to fucking beat them down again, because you can never, it doesn't exist in this game. Anna abruptly opens her eyes. The magic pauses. I'm terribly concerned about how the story plays out from here. Everything was destroyed. The hut, the vegetable plot, and the small bower where Kana had read her books. Kana, what did she find upon returning to her hut? Her arms full of food. Hang on. Yeah. What happened? I ruminate over the things that I saw in Kana's dream. Namely, the insects that live in her head and feed on human knowledge and memories. It shook my heart to its core. She had been informed that she had a meager 10 years left to live, and how many years had passed since then?
私が戻ると、たくさんの町の者たちが私の帰りを待っていたんです。
Of course you did. She speaks her words slowly and deliberately.
あの小屋の場所がバレてしまったんですね。私の頭の中にいる者の大群から、私たちを追いかける町の者たちから、ずっと秘密を守り続けていたはずのあの場所が。
Kana,
はい。
as you know, all you need to do is close your eyes once more, and I'll learn everything without you having to explain.
はい。いいえ、もう大丈夫です。これから先は私の言葉で説明します。こうして言葉にしてユーマさんに伝えることができない部分を伝えきれたので、あとは魔法に頼らなくてもちゃんと伝えられます。私は人柱なんです。あの異世界では。
A human sacrifice?
はい。あの銀色に食べられてしまえば、あの世界は助かる。と、あの世界の者たちは思っていました。
I think back. I recall the objections Kana raised to the illogical justifications given for the right of departure when we were with Haku. It specifically called it a human sacrifice.
町の住人たちは私を探して飛び回り、無差別な虐殺を繰り返すあれに私を差し出すためにやってきた。町を襲うのをやめさせるために。 だから私は一目散に逃げ出して。
Look, Kana, at this point, calling them you know what isn't gonna help. Look, if the butterflies transfer to someone through word of mouth, through knowing of their existence, essentially, look, all I'm gonna say is Yuma going directly into Kana's memories is yeah, talking, you call talking a highway, right? Talking to someone about the butterflies a highway. Getting direct access to the memories is like, well, I don't really have a good analogy for it, but it's definitely guaranteed that he would have the butterflies if, you know, that's how the laws of the world work or whatever.
追いかけてくる怖い者たちを振り払うために山道をがむしゃらに走り回って山の中を何日も何日もさまよって、気づけばいつの間にか誰も追いかけてこなくなっていて、私はまた真っ暗な夜の山で迷子になってしまっていて、でも帰り道が分かったとしても私はあそこには戻れない。きっと怖い者たちが待っている。これから私はどうしたらいいの？帰りたい、帰りたいよ。お母さん、お父さん、おじさん、魔法使いさん、どうかお願い、私を助けて。月も雲に隠れてしまって、月の光も差さない真っ暗な山の中で、私はそればっかりを祈っていました。山の林の中に身を潜めて、お願い助けて魔法使いさんって、いつもみたいにあなたの名前を繰り返しつぶやいていたら、なんだか少し安心して眠ってしまっていて、そして朝目を覚ますと奇跡が起きていたんです。
Huh? I squinted at her. What kind of miracle?
はい、どういうわけか私帰ってきていたんです。この町に、魔法使いさんの住むこのカザツガ浜に。
I mean, I did tell you that if the world had the same time difference as the merchant town, then the only way Kana would be able to be around a similar age to Yuma is if she came back around like 2 to 3 years ago, right? 2 to 3 years after she entered.
どうしてわかりません。ただ気がついたらここに戻ってきていたんです。それだけです。何かが起きた理由も道理もそのつながりも何もわからない。まるで悪い夢から目を覚まして安堵するかのような唐突感に、しばらく私もぼーっとしてしまっていました。それでも確かに私に起きてしまったこの突然の物事に名前をつけるなら、それは確かに奇跡でした。どうして10年間もずっと みんなが何を試しても帰ってこれなかったのに、それを突然何の工夫もしていない一晩で私はこうして帰ってこれたのか。理由はやっぱりわかりません。たまたま目には見えない空間の歪みのようなものが私の眠っていた場所にあったのかもしれないし、それとももっともっと別の原因があったのかもしれない。そういった理由の何もかもを理解できないまま、私にそれが確かに起きて、私はとにかくこの町へ戻ってきました。だから私は魔法使いさんが待っていてくれると約束してくれた灯台へ走りました。自分の家の帰り道は忘れてしまったけれど、10年間ずっと忘れないように守ってきたあなたの記憶を頼りに。お願い、どうか私を助けてほしい。お母さんに会わせてもらいたい。頭の中の不自由から解放してもらいたい。
Hang on, let me see that again. I had forgotten my way home, but I made certain that I never forget you during those long 10 years. Okay, look. I don't know if it was the fault of the localizers or the writers or whatever, but a few years implies 2 to 3. That's what I assumed. That's what most people would assume. 10 is not a few. But it does mean that the world Kana was in was definitely not a parallel world. Definitely not similar to the merchant town. I mean, it definitely was a parallel world, but never mind.
約束の恋することなら今の私にだったら十分に渡せると思った。10年間ずっと恋愛について私なりに研究してきました。恋愛小説をたくさん読んで、可愛い女の子がたくさん出てくる大人の男の人向けの漫画もたくさん読んで。
Okay, well, those countless manga for adult men that featured tons of cute girls definitely corrupted your view of things. Of how to rizz up a man or whatever. Huh? Wait, what did you just say? I know I'm interrupting her story, and I hate to do so, but my ears picked up on something particularly odd.
漫画と小説です。偉い人たちがお話の中で教えてくれることに間違いはないですよね。
No, Kana, that's not how it works. I don't know how to explain this to you.
もしかしてユーマさん、変な想像してますか？
Inappropriate as in...
大人の男の人向け。エッチなものじゃありませんよ。
Oh, yeah, of course not. Yeah, I wasn't thinking that either. But those manga are definitely the reason why you think guys like maid outfits so much. And I mean, they're not wrong. But regardless...
皆さん、お目目がパチクリ大きくて、ちょうど少し前に夏目さんが貸してくださった小説の挿絵のような女の子で溢れているような、そんな漫画本です。
So that's what she meant by for adult men. Those books are what taught her everything she knows about romance. Well, I'm not sure those are the best reference material out there. I guess that is kind of what I'd imagined you doing. Now that I think about it, it's probably my fault for making assumptions about you. It just makes things confusing.
何がですか？私らしい？
Don't worry. It's nothing. Just talking to myself. So anyway, could you get back to your story now? I encourage her to continue after my brief respite.
はい。
She straightens her posture.
とにかく私はユーマさんとの約束を果たせると思っていたんです。本をたくさん読んだから、それで恋愛のノウハウみたいなものは少なくともその基礎はしっかりと知っているつもりでした。でも
What?
はい、私はいろいろと間違っていたみたいです。ちょっと大胆すぎましたよね。あなたにまた会えたことが嬉しくて、少しはしゃいでしまっていました。
Right.
そしてユーマさん、
Yeah? Yeah?
そんな私の心にこびりついているものはきっと怖さです。死ぬことへの恐怖です。
Huh? Theo?
怖い。死ぬことは怖い。お母さんもきっとそんな気持ちとずっと戦っていて、それがあるから私はこの紙を開けない。その勇気が湧かない。お母さんの今現在も私自身の不自由も怖くて認められなくて、認めることができなくて、目をそらし続けてきました。
My mom, Connor repeats, and her eyes begin to fill with tears. Upon realizing, she hurriedly wipes them away. There are butterflies growing in your head, and they spread like some sort of virus. They'll spread through your tears. You have no way to disprove that claim, which is why you can't cry, right? She scrubs hard at her eyes. Even though she can't cry, she's still a crybaby at her core. Might be mere superstition. It might only be the result of someone's excess anxiety bubbling out of control. And yet, Kana's been struggling so hard, all by herself, just in case that the claim turns out to be true. She doesn't want anybody else to drown in the same fear as her. How many times has she had to stifle the urge to cry? A tiny lump forms in my throat at the thought.
私
Yeah?
私はお母さんに言わなくちゃいけないことがある。
Listen, Kana, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think you'll be able to.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい、お母さん。お母さんなんか大っ嫌い。あんな身勝手な言葉を謝りたい。それまでは絶対に私は死ねない。お母さんの記憶を食べられちゃうわけにはいかない。
Don't worry, Kana. Since there's a second game, surely you won't die from the butterflies in your head.
だから私は絶対に生きていなくちゃいけないはずなのに。それなのに私は自分で自分を粗末にするようなことばかりを繰り返して。
Okay, well, two of them were by accident, right?
ユマさん、私はやっぱりダメな子です。自分のことばかりしか考えない悪い子。レンちゃんとは全然違う。
Anna?
私はもしかするとただ本当に怖いだけなのかもしれない。お母さんに謝らなくちゃいけないっていう気持ちよりも何よりも私は死ぬのが怖い。頭の中のあれに頭の中身を食い破られるだなんて、それが一番怖いんです。さっきユマさんと一緒に見た夢の中では出てこなかったですけど、
Huh? You just say yes. Don't stop saying ha.
私が忘れたいと願い続けていたので、その映像は思い起こされず省略されてしまったみたいですけど、あの小屋以外にも神隠しにあってあの世界で生きている子が一人だけいたんです。お友達になれるかと思った。二人で力を合わせて生きていけるって。でもそうはならなかった。知り合ってすぐの夜でした。その子の頭の中からあれが孵化する瞬間を私は見ました。
Oh God.
あんなのひどいよ。思い出したくもない。一度見たら何日も眠れなくなります。やだよ。私の最後もあんな風なの。どれくらい痛いの？気持ち悪いの？人によっては気づけないくらい一瞬で終わったりしないの？それともやっぱり何分も何時間も痛いのを我慢していかなくちゃいけないの？そんなのを想像するだけで私はいても立ってもいられなくなる。だから私はあれになんか殺されるくらいなら、私は自分の命を絶ってしまった方がいくらかマシだとそう思ったんです。
That's why you jumped from the lighthouse? She answers with a solemn nod. But why did you resort to something so crazy? There might have been ways to save you.
だってどうせ私はあともう1ヶ月も生きられないんです。
Huh? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what you're telling me is that he's cured? Because it's definitely been more than a month. Month?
死ぬのは怖い。当たり前だけど、それはどうしようもなく怖くて悲しい。
Or are you telling me it hasn't been more than a month? It's like, bro, I'm 25 episodes into this shit. How is the in-game time been less than a month?
頭の中の意地悪のおかげで、その時初めて私はお母さんの痛みを知ることができたのかもしれません。
Like, that includes the days that she spent in the merchant town, right? So, right?
だからこそ、最後くらいは自分で選びたい。最初から最後まで、頭の中に住むバカみたいな何かに振り回されたくはない。
Okay, I mean, like, here's the thing. I know that she doesn't die, right? There's a second game. She's in it. I know that much. So she doesn't die here, obviously. I mean, you know, just look at this. If you played this game, you look at the CGs, you go to Kana, you see that there's a lot of CGs still left for her. Well, plenty of CGs.
だって、これは私の人生だから。誰にも自由になんかさせたくない。それが私の立ち向かうことへの答えだと、そう思ったんです。
Fight against it. This is the answer she's arrived at.
10年です。神隠しにあってしまってから私に課せられた寿命は10年。
That's the time it took for those parasites inside your head to mature into adults?
そうです。あの夜、ユーマさんに助けてもらった時が残り時間1ヶ月くらいでした。そして今はもう
Oops.
残り時間はあと1週間あるかないかです。
Hang on.
あの夜、ユーマさんに助けてもらった時が残り時間1ヶ月くらいでした。私の計算が正しいのならそうなります。
Okay. It's either Kana's bad at math and she had more than a month to live, or the writers have bad math and didn't account for the definite week that occurred in the merchant town, or it also counts the weeks. It also counts the days in the merchant town, which means that it's been 2 weeks chronologically in this game, not including the merchant town days. At least 2 weeks. A week. I can't comprehend the words that are coming out of her mouth. No. It's not that I can't. I simply don't want to. She's going to die. She's actually going to die. Minami Kana, the girl standing before me, who's long since forgotten both her name and her way home. But she's never forgotten the intense fear of death. The intense fear of death she has.
私は私の人生に立ち向かう。頭の中のあれの意志には支配されない。そう決めて、あの灯台から飛び降りました。それが自由への意思表示なんだって。でも、その結論に至るまでには、しばらく時間がかかりました。十分の覚悟を用意するまでには。だって、私はまだ本当の意味では希望を捨てられていなかった。ユマさん、あなたが私を守ってくれるって約束してくれていたから。だからこの町へ戻ってきた私は、 どこへも行くところのなかった私は、5日間くらいをあの灯台で過ごしました。
5 whole days?
はい。きっと夜になれば魔法使いさんが私に会いに来てくれる。あれから10年が経つけれど、それでもきっと来てくれる。だってあの人は魔法使いだから。10年の時間をふっと簡単に飛び越えるくらいの不思議があってもいいはずだから。
Okay, well... No. Not really.
もしもあなたに会うことができれば、それだけで私は頭の中の意地悪から助けてもらえると思っていました。そうして食べられてしまった思い出も、私はもしかすると取り返せるかもしれない。そうなれば私はお家までの帰り道を思い出してお母さんにも会いに行ける。でも
I never did come. She nods. You slept out there for 5 whole days?
野宿、そうですね。そういうことになるのかもしれません。
I'm sorry. If only I'd realized sooner.
いいえ、そんな、やめてください。そんな悲しい顔しないでください、ユマさん。ユマさんにそんな風に思ってもらいたくてこの話をしようと思ったんじゃないんです。食べ物を探して山道を何日もかけて歩いた時はよく野宿をしてました。だから外で寝るのは慣れてます。平気です。そんなに辛くはありませんでした。
She smiles broadly.
辛いどころかむしろよく眠れたくらいです。
What? In a place like that?
はい。だってこの町には私を追いかけてくる怖い誰かも、そして言葉にはできない頭の中のあれもいない。5日間泥のように寝てました。あの灯台のレンズ室で10年分の安心を得られたような気がしたんです。未だ頭の中に不自由を飼ってはいるけれど、それでもやっと何かに解放されたような気がしていたんです。
Can I ask you something, Kana?
はい。
The job you were going to request of me, were you, by chance, going to ask me to remove those butterflies from your...
はい。こんな意地悪をユマさんに退治してもらって私を自由にしてほしい。それが依頼です。
I see.
これはユマさんのお仕事の不自由を自由に向かわせる逃がし屋さんのお仕事の範疇ではないですか？
I'm not sure. A short silence befalls as I mull it over.
難しいですか？魔法使いさんにもできないことがありますか？
Well, something happens. I know how, I know what, but I definitely know she doesn't die. I focus on Kana's hand, which I hold. This magic has the ability to make the burden of her mind a tiny fraction easier to bear. But still, I'm sorry. I thought about whether or not I could use the magic to shift the curse inside your mind to mine. But I can't. Magic doesn't seem to be capable of that.
ダメ。
She tries to let go of my hand.
ダメですよ。
Kana?
私はユーマさんに助けてもらいたいけれど、でもその結果としてユーマさんが苦しんでしまうようなことになっては意味がないんです。
Yeah, but like, what are the butterflies gonna eat? Emptiness? Bro does not have any memories.
これまで私が頑張って規則を守って誰にも相談できなかったことも無駄になってしまいます。私は誰かが幸せになるために誰かが犠牲にならないといけないなんて、そんなのは絶対嫌なんです。
Right.
はい。だから私はアクさんを止めたかったんだと思います。あの方を何とか説得して儀式をやめさせることができたなら、それで私も頭の中の何かに勝てるような気がしていたんです。誰かの幸せのために命を捧げる人柱。ハクさんは商人の町のために、私はあの異界に住む者たちのために。そんな理不尽な何もかもに立ち向かい勝利することが私の戦いなんだって、そう思っていたんです。
To fight against. I think about what that simple phrase entails. How can I fight against the reality of Kana's fate? Phew. I take a deep breath. The smell of disinfectant pervades through the air. It's the magic. Shinku's power being used on Kana's mind. I feel an aching pain deep in my chest. Then, the very next moment,
怖い。死ぬのが怖い。
that voice seeps through my mind.
頭の中に知らない誰かが住んでいる。どうしよう。この頃、頭の中がもぞもぞし始めた。気持ち悪い。吐き気がする。怖い、怖い。死ぬのは怖いよ。
That terror pours into my mind. This is it. This is the burden that was weighing on Kana's mind. I let go of her hand. Well, do you feel at least a little better now? I gather myself and force the best smile I can muster. My chest, my mind, everything is quivering. I feel chills throughout my entire body.
すごい。ユマさんは本当に魔法使いなんですね。すごいです。ずっと考えてきた怖いことがなんだか少し軽くなったような気がします。今ならこの紙の中身を確認できそうな気がします。
Oh, really? That's great.
ありがとうございます。ユマさんは本当にすごいです。
I'm really not. She's the one who braved through it all. Fear and terror. Never ending. Knowing you're going to die. She's kept this overwhelming fear locked shut in her chest for 10 whole years. She's had to live every day knowing that she might not wake up and see tomorrow. I'm sorry. This power isn't even worthy of the title of magic. I can't even do a single thing to truly save you. Even if it can rid you of some of your mental pain, it's only temporary. It doesn't solve the underlying issue in any way whatsoever. That agonizing terror might reappear tomorrow morning.
いいえ、誰かの心を勇気づけることのできる力だなんて本当に素敵だって思います。一時的だっていい。そのおかげで私はお母さんに伝えられるかもしれません。ごめんなさいを。
She grips the scrap of paper in her hand.
もう直接お母さんにそれを伝えられないかもしれないけれど、でも言わなくちゃいけないんだって。さっきまでの私はその勇気がどうしても湧いてこなかったけれど、でも今ならこの紙を開いて中を確認するくらいは。
He smiles. And then Kana.
でも
She grips the paper with trembling hands. Kana? What's the matter?
どうしよう、ユマさん。私やっぱりダメみたいです。まだ怖い。ごめんなさい、嘘です。確かに心は少し軽くなったけど、怖いのも薄くはなったけど。
But
中身を確認できない。
her hands tremble as they grip the paper.
どうしてもこの紙を開けない。手が震えてダメなんです。知ってしまうのが怖い。お母さんの今現在。お母さんはもうこの世には。
He's dead. He's no longer in this world. I feel a sharp sting in my chest. It's as if the pain I'd taken from Kana is throbbing in response to her fear.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい、ユマさん。せっかく魔法を使ってもらったのに。これを開いたら泣いちゃいそうです。誰かの前で泣くのだけは避けなくちゃいけないのに。
I get it. If she reads the information the Seekling brought back, she'll cry. That was why she locked the door. So that nobody could see her tears.
まだ勇気が足りない。私にはこの紙の中身を見て泣かない自信がない。
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kana. My magic wasn't powerful enough to help you. She buries her face in her hands and sobs in between words.
お願いします、ユマさん。少しだけでいい。 りにしてください。じゃないと私、今にもここで泣いてしまいそうです。
Okay. Try your hideout, Kana. Before you even look at what that paper says, cry and sob all you need. All you need to. Cry until you run out of tears. That way, if that piece of paper really does end up confirming your fears, you might not have the tears left to cry anymore.
そんなことできませんよ。少なくとも今ここでは。
You're worried they'll transmit to me? He silently nods. In that case,
部屋を出ていてもらえますか？私が泣き終わるまでほんの少しでいいですから。
sorry, but no. I shake my head. Sorry, Kana. I just can't fully trust you.
ユーマさん。
I'm worried about what you might do if I leave you here to wallow in a sea of sadness. You've already tried to take your own life more than once. So even if you tell me you'll be alright, sorry, but I can't take that at face value. I can't leave you all by yourself right now, even if you tell me to. I've already seen firsthand that my magic wasn't adequate enough to heal your pains.
そんなことは。
I'm not leaving you all by yourself, Kana.
どうしてそんな。それじゃあ私、この中身を確認できません。もしも想像通りの悲しいことが書いてあったら、私は絶対に我慢できずに泣いてしまいます。ユーマさんに私の涙であれを映してしまうかもしれない。
It might be a baseless superstition, but you're not allowed to cry to, that you're not allowed to cry,
それでも用心するのに越したことはないから。
Alright. I give you permission to infect me then. I'll gladly take away those parasitic butterflies that live in your head for you. Who knows? Maybe we'll even be able to save you that way.
だからそんなことをしてユーマさんが私の代わりに苦しむようじゃ。
I'm a sorcerer, Kana. It's no big deal to me. I'm sure I can find a way to deal with them myself. I want to save you, Kana. I want to help you and keep you safe. Even if that means putting myself at risk, I'm willing to do that. Just let me have this. I want you to cry in front of me. In your own words, Kana. That is what it means to fight against something. I'm not sad in the slightest. If that's what it takes to truly save you, then so be it.
ダメですよ。死ぬことはとっても怖いことですよ。きっと。
I know. I reaped what I've reaped some of that fear from you. So I have a bit of an understanding as to what it feels like.
怖さを
Yeah. I hate it, Kana. I hate having to watch that suffering take its toll on your heart. Look, I'll be fine. I'm a sorcerer. I can handle everything that's worrying you. If that's what it takes to cure Kana, then I have no qualms whatsoever. So please, Kana, I don't want you to have reservations about crying in front of me. Let it all out. Please, Kana, I'm begging you. I'm Kana Oyuma. I'm the sorcerer whom you've never stopped believing in. The sorcerer who will save you. So please let me fulfill my role. If you feel even a tiny bit braver after letting out all your tears, you can open that letter together. We can open that letter together. If you're too scared to look at it by yourself, then doing it while someone else is by your side might make it somewhat more bearable. She weeps, clutching her stomach tightly, hunching over with her face down.
ユマさん
Yeah?
お願いしますユマさん魔法使いさん私にもう一度だけ勇気をください
With those words, she buries her face into my chest.
私泣きます
Okay. There still seems to be hesitation lingering. She wraps her arms around my back and clings to me in silence. It's okay. I'll use my magic to send everything that's scaring you far, far away. So just let out all your tears. I hold on tightly to her trembling body. She weeps and weeps, wailing as though she's letting out 10 years worth of tears.